Hello, hello, Shaziana, you made it. Good, good, good. I don't think I can hear you right now.
How about now?
There we go. Oh my gosh,
Classic.
the
Gotta
jitters,
start with
the
a
jitters,
technical issue.
jitters all day. You prepare all day for this, and then the sounds come on immediately. I hear you loud and clear. 5 by 5. We're
Here we
perfect.
go. Awesome.
Good. Hello, welcome to people out there. This is Yuri's night. Canada's a very special day, huge day, special day, gigantic day today. First off, hello, Shaziana.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. This is we got
Bonsoir.
mostly English. We got some French for you because we are here in Canada. My name's Trevor. I'm here in Montreal. Shaziana, who are you?
Well, I'm Shaziana, and I'm actually in St. John's, Newfoundland right now. It's far east as you can go in Canada, also in a funky time zone, but this is me.
And the sun is already set where you are, right?
That's right, yes. It is nighttime. It's 9 p.m. right now, so it's a good late night. But that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's 7:30 p.m. here in Montreal. The sun, I think, is just about to set, but I can't go outside past 8 p.m. Anyways, doesn't matter. All right. What about me? Who is this guy? What's going on here? My name is Trevor. My last name is Norwegian and unpronounceable. I'm in Montreal. I'm in Quebec. If you see this box behind me, what is this? What is this? I make Halloween costumes. This is just shtick. Apparently, I'm still a 12-year-old. This is a theme. I've done this before. I've been a box of Band-Aids. I've been a Arm & Hammer baking soda box. That was a big hit. This is Canada themed. I've been a Canada Post mailbox before. This is a 1-to-1 ratio. This is to scale, folks. This is good. But I also teach astronomy. I teach space here in Montreal. This is in the before times when I could go into classrooms and teach folks. Here we're making some space helmets here. You can see the Canadian Space Agency logo there. Very good, very good. I used to be able to bring my telescope into the street. And when I can do that again, I certainly will. I love to show people the sky, even what we can see here in a light polluted city like Montreal. I've loved space since I was a kid. Here's proof. My mom helping me with my astronaut costume there. He was once adorable. It's not just Captain Greybeard as it is right now. Shaziana, you have an academic background of which I do not really obtain. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, thanks, Trevor. So much like yourself, I've been passionate about space since I was a kid, and I've loved doing sometimes what people might think are wacky. I love to rock climb. I've also been a synchronized swimmer for a long time, and I love to travel. One of the coolest, craziest places I have ever been is the Antarctic. I was so fortunate to be able to go on this trip, and those are some of the fun things I like to do. Academically, yes, because I have been so passionate about space, I decided to do an undergraduate degree in space engineering. Here I am with my rocket team from undergrad. This was our first ever launch, and I was the lead of recovery on that team. I then went into an astrophysics internship and then to grad studies, which I just completed at McGill. So I was in Montreal once, and did space engineering there again. I was fortunate to be able to, at the same time, go to the International Space University. This is my team, APIS, that I had this experience with. And because of ISU, I was able to gain such an amazing network. And I love being able to meet influential, inspirational people. For example, Bill Nye here, I got to meet him at a conference. And astronauts here like Jeremy and Bob Thirsk, absolutely amazing. And because of this, I've started to really want to get involved in outreach. And that's how I got to get linked with Trevor and also get linked with Yuri's Night as part of the Dream Team. But we'll get back to that in a moment.
Yes, we will. I have a question for you, Shaziana, and I've already just accidentally put up the answer. I'm going to hide that. One sec. Shaziana, big question. How many people are in space, in orbit around Earth right now?
That's such a good question because we didn't always have people in orbit, and now well, you show the number, it's a double digit. We just added people to the space station on Friday. 3 people went up there, and we now have 10 people in orbit.
Yes. So this show is supposed to last about 90 minutes. Okay. This is the plan. Things can change. Problems can happen, but 90 minutes, that's how long we want this to go on. During the entire course of the show, in the space station up above, people up there will do one circle, one orbit around Earth. And as Shaziana was saying, hasn't always been this way. Today is April 12th. Okay. Shaziana, what happened April 12th, 60 years ago?
That's right. Today is an incredibly exciting day. April 12th, 60 years ago in 1961, the first person to fly in space, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin, was the first person to fly on the Vostok 1 spaceship and circle the Earth. His orbit time was 1 hour and 48 minutes, so just a little longer than our time tonight. And here's a photo of Yuri himself. And this is what Yuri's Night is all about, celebrating humanity through space, connecting people with space and art and music. And like I said, it's the 60th anniversary today, but coincidentally, it is also the 40th anniversary of the shuttle, first starting with Columbia. And then less coincidentally, but still awesome, of course, it's the 20th anniversary of what we're celebrating tonight, Yuri's Night. And Yuri's Night was founded by Loretta Hidalgo Whitesides, who is an absolutely amazing person that I'm so privileged to be connected with. She embodies global connectivity and has the mission to bring out the best in humanity using space. And this is how we're celebrating Yuri's Night tonight for Canada. And Trevor, tell us more.
Yes. We do have a schedule tonight, okay? You did mention before that Yuri's first flight lasted a little bit over 90 minutes. We're going to try to stay on schedule as much as we can. We're adults here. We are professionals, I suppose. So we're going to try that. We have some really cool topics tonight. Obviously, we have a very special guest, very featured guest. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we have some major topics we want people to learn about tonight. So, Shaziana, I know you just talked a little bit. I need to talk a little bit more, okay? What are our topics and who's going to be presenting them?
So we have, like Trevor said, some amazing guests tonight. First up, we're going to talk about the CanadArm and Robotics and what Canada does for this. This will be done by a CSA person called Kristen Facciol, a super cool person. And then next up, we'll be talking about black holes and how Canada was involved in the new black hole images you might have seen. This will be done with Professor Daryl Haggard, also an amazing, cool person. And then after Daryl Haggard, we'll have our featured guest you might have seen or heard about who is coming tonight. It is astronaut Dr. Robert Thirsk, someone who's been incredibly influential for me and will be absolutely amazing. Yes, he has circled the Earth before. Then next up, we will have, yes, there's a picture of him actually. You can see him in his orange suit. And
here he is, looked like he's about to do a slap shot wearing the Team Canada jersey up in space. If that's not proof, he's an astronaut who's been in space and is Canadian. I can't prove you otherwise. Yeah.
Then following Bob Thirsk, we'll have someone talking to us about the James Webb Space Telescope and what that means for us, what's going to happen, and that will be with Natalie Willett. After Natalie, we'll have talk about a vomit comet. Yes, and we'll understand why later. It's all about zero-G experiences and how we can create it with Diana Phillips. This will be super fun to listen to. And then last, but certainly not least, and something that's super cool that I can't wait for everybody to see, is how we can make music out of data from science to do with space. And this will be with astromusician Matt Russo. So what's next?
These have to be short interviews, okay? We wish we could have, hour-long conversations with each of them. We can't. These interviews are going to be about 8.5 minutes long, okay? Why do we choose 8.5? Jiminy, that is a very odd number to choose. There's two reasons. And we're here as a teachable moment. Why 8.5 minutes? The first one is we have the sun and we have the earth and we have the speed of light. And it takes about a photon, about 8.5 minutes leaving the surface of Earth to reach Earth. That's one reason why we've chosen that time. The second reason is if you're on Earth and you're launching a rocket, it takes you about 8.5 minutes to get to orbit. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a little animation that's going to play at the bottom of the screen to keep me on time, to keep Shaziana on time, and to keep our guests on time so they know how much time they have left. So we're going to ask them a very important question before we ask them the real questions, what they want to do. So if you do have questions in the chat, we can't promise we're going to be able to show them up on there. We got a very tight schedule, but if we have time, ask a question. We'll try to display it up there, and hopefully we can play it for you.
And since it's supposed to be a little bit of a French night, we're going to try our hardest. Si vous avez des questions en français, allez poser dans le chat et on va répondre mieux qu'on peut.
Oui, et on a un message spécial. We have we've got a very, very special message, Shaziana. My God, I can't believe this. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened.
So amazing. Here, you might have seen some of our promo and us talking about it. We've got someone incredibly special to give us such a cool shout out tonight. And there's some hints in this photo. Maybe you'll pick up on it, but we'll reveal it to you now in a few seconds. I'm going to count down in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Hi, Chris Hadfield here, especially to everybody celebrating Yuri's night in Montreal. Я желаю вам удачного дня космонавтики. I wish you a great Yuri's night together.
Such an amazing message. Spasiba. Thank you, Chris. The mustache man himself, hey?
The big stash himself. Yep. He arrived here. This might be the only time in my life I'll be able to correct an astronaut. Don't do it again is the lesson probably after this. He said, welcome message to people in Montreal. What he really meant, though, is a welcome message to all people in Canada watching, or if you're in other parts of the world. And I'm looking through the chat. We got people from Wisconsin, somebody from Germany, all over the place. Thank you for coming by. Chris Hadfield, he said Montreal, but what he really meant was Canada and the world.
And everybody.
I think I've blown my chance to ever actually interview him. Okay, all right. Thank you, Chris, for that. That it really blew me away. Shaziana, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. Let's get this started. Let's get the show on the road.
All right. We're going to start with CanadArm and Robotics. I'm going to interview Kristen Facciol. Let's see if I can get her up here. I'm going to take you off, Shaziana. This is the fun live stream component here. Here is Kristen right here.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Great. You can hear me okay? Everything's good?
Yes. Yeah, everything sounds great.
Awesome. Okay. First big question, probably the most important question of the night. We have to time you. You've got 8.5 minutes. What do you want? How do you want to be timed? Do you want a little photon going from one side of the screen to the other, or do you want a rocket going up into orbit?
I'm going to go with rocket.
You're going to go with rocket. Okay. So here we go. This is how it's going to work. This took a lot of time to prep for me. The biggest GIF I've ever exported. Here we go. You can see it moving at the bottom of the screen right there. Kristen, thank you so much for coming. This is great. Maybe just describe a little bit about yourself, where you work, and what your role is at the Canadian Space Agency.
Sure. My name is Kristen. I'm originally from Toronto, born and raised. I completed my undergraduate degree there in aerospace engineering at the University of Toronto. And now I work at the Canadian Space Agency as a robotics flight controller for the International Space Station. So we get to operate the robotic systems on the ISS. As part of this, I was able to train down at NASA's Johnson Space Center for a couple of years. And now I operate out of our control center up here close to Montreal.
Great. I have a slide right here because I told people while I was promoting this, if they have a $5 bill, and miraculously somehow I do have a $5 bill around here. If you look on the back of it, it says right here, CanadArm 2 and Dexter. This is on our money, printed on our money. First of all, where are these? Where are they around us? And what does CanadArm 2 and Dexter actually do?
So CanadArm 2 and Dexter are both components of what we call the mobile servicing system on the International Space Station. So they are permanently located up on the ISS. We also have another system there called the mobile base, and it serves as a base for the two of those as well to translate along the truss of the ISS. And I've actually got my model of CanadArm 2 here as well, so I can use that to demonstrate a little bit. But CanadArm 2 is an evolution of the original shuttle CanadArm. The cool thing about it is it has the ability to walk off. So it's got an end effector on each end that allows it to grapple and release so it can walk off to different locations on the ISS, and it can also pick up Dexter. So Dexter is another robotic system we have up there, and it actually has two robotic manipulators as well as a rotational body joint as well. So it looks kind of like a little human robot, and Dexter serves to offload a lot of the tasks that were previously done by astronauts on spacewalks. So now we can do a lot of those things robotically, like manipulate smaller interfaces and move smaller payloads around. And we can do all of this while based off CanadArm 2. So you've got about 20 meters of robotic systems that are being operated to move these things around.
Okay, so it's not mobile, or sorry, it's not stationary. It can move around the entire space station then.
Yeah, we can pick it up and put it in different places.
Okay. I have a slide here, and it's showing somebody who was up on the space station. Now, right now, this is from a few years ago here.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but if I zoom in, oh, I know who it is. It's Mr. Hadfield, right there. So he's up there on the space station in that photo. Is just the astronauts up on the space station? Are they the ones that manipulate it, or who else can operate the arms?
It's actually mostly done by ground control these days. And what you saw in that picture was Chris Hadfield at what we call the robotics workstation. It's inside the cupola. And they are able to control Canadarm2 from there. And you can see it out the cupola windows. So when we do something like a free flyer capture, the astronauts will support from in there. So they have that extra view of Canadarm2 and the vehicle out of those windows. But I'd say we're somewhere around 95% of ground control operations now. Dexter is entirely operated by flight controllers on the ground, either out of the control center at the Canadian Space Agency or in the Mission Control Center at NASA JSC. But when the astronauts operate the arm, either to support a spacewalk or a free flyer capture, they can do it at one of the two robotic workstations. So we've got one in the cupola and another one in the lab module of the ISS.
Okay, that was actually a good point. You mentioned two locations there. So you mentioned about 95% of the robotic stuff going on happens on the ground. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, but about last 5%, the astronauts can move it themselves. Is that's correct? Okay.
Yeah, and we actually train them to do those operations, which is pretty fun.
You knew exactly where I was going with this. Yes, where do the astronauts train for this?
They do part of their training at the Canadian Space Agency. So we are responsible for giving them a component of that robotics training. So I've actually been able to train astronauts from many of our partner agencies, the European Space Agency, Roscosmos, and NASA, as well as our very own CSA astronauts. They do a lot of the training down at NASA as well, but it's a very cool thing to be able to be a part of that and to be able to have them visit the CSA facility so that we can train them on Canadian robotics.
Right. So you mentioned CSA, Canadian Space Agency. Mm-hmm. I live here in Montreal. You live, I think, just outside of Montreal. And I got a lot of followers that are around Montreal. We'll talk about Canada, but just talk about Montreal for a second. I think people are often surprised, Montrealers are often surprised, where the Canadian Space Agency actually is located. What I have here, I have a map of Montreal. I've got a little video here. Where is the Canadian Space Agency located exactly? So it's to the right. Now, geography is my weakness, but it's to the right there in Saint-Hubert. So it's on what we call the South Shore, or La Rive Sud. And it's, right there where you've got it marked. It's, I'd say, maybe 20, 25 minutes outside of the city. And I'm pretty close to there as well, but we have the full CSA headquarters there, and we have our own control center there as well. Right. Yeah. I often try to joke and tell people like where I live in the Plateau, hence Plateau Astro. People could take a bike and bike ride to the Canadian Space Agency if you live in the heart of Montreal. People think it's colleagues that do just that. Yeah. Which is a good question. During the last year, have you had to work from home, or are you allowed to go into the office? How has that been working for you? We've mostly been working from home. Our team has been great at adapting quickly to being able to telework and support simulations and stuff from home. But because operations do need to be done out of these control facilities, we do go on site every once in a while. So there are some situations for real-time operations and for some other training that do require us to go on site. So I've been in a few times, but mostly teleworking. Right. It's called Dexter and CanadArm2. Mm-hmm. CanadArm 1, where was that? So there were 5 of them. There was one on each of the space shuttles, and those have all since been retired with the shuttle program. Yeah. And so there's a 1, there's a 2. I feel a theme here. Is there going to be a CanadArm 3? There absolutely is going to be a CanadArm 3, and it's going to be on the Lunar Gateway as part of the Artemis program, and it will be an evolution of everything that we've learned from CanadArm 1 and 2 and Dexter. And, we're moving towards a new system that will be operated in different ways. We'll be looking more towards autonomous capabilities and just
just, everything that we've learned in the past from all of these other robotic systems. And actually, shout out to CanadArm too, because its 20th launch anniversary is coming up in the next week, which is very exciting. So 20 years of robotics operations. But those 20 years have really helped contribute to what we'll see in the future on CanadArm 3.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen. It looks like your rocket is about to go into orbit right there. So
Yeah.
I think the timing there has worked just great. Where can people learn more about you and learn more about what I'm really digging for here is what's your social media handles? Because that's the next slide I have up here.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram or Twitter at either of those two handles. I try to tweet as much as possible about what's going on the ISS with robotics, and I'm always happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Great. Kristen, thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me. Happy Yuri's night.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Okay, that was Christian Facciol. I think I'm pronouncing that last name correctly. I hope I am. Let's bring Shaziana back to the stream. Shaziana, you can hear me? Everything's good on your end?
Yes, you hear me?
Yes. And you got a drink of water or something during the break?
I did, yes. I did many things.
I wish I was that polite.
Shout out to someone who mentioned Kalman filters here. Yes, they are my life. And ISS Above says, I want one of those models. Where can we get them?
Where can we get them? I'll try to get. I'll try to ask Kristen. Maybe we can get that to people. Okay, we have our next. We have our next guest here. We're going to talk about black holes. We're going to bring up Professor Daryl Haggard. I'll get her into the stream right there. Daryl, cool. You can hear us? There we go. I'm going to log off and I'll let you folks get onto it.
Yeah, so thank you for being here, Professor Haggard. Not only are we celebrating Yuri's night, and now also we just found out CanadArm celebration coming up. It's also Black Hole Week. So we're going to talk about black holes today, of course. So tell us, where are you tuning in from and interviewing with us from, and what you do.
I'm coming to you straight from my bedroom here in Montreal. So like so many, working from home. So I'm a professor at McGill University and in the McGill Space Institute. My name is Daryl Haggard. I'm trained as an astrophysicist and I'm now a physics professor at McGill. Yeah, so I'm here in what has been the most spring-like spring I've ever experienced in Montreal, and I'm very excited about Black Hole Week and looking forward to some amazing science coming up. I work as a part of the Event Horizon Telescope, which brought all of us this amazing image of a black hole just recently, and I'm excited to talk about black holes with everybody.
Amazing. And yes, I did forget to ask you the very first question. Do you want to be a photon or a rocket for your timer?
So I feel like I should have chosen photon, but I chose rocket because I also love rockets, much like Kristen.
Rockets are great. They never get tiring. It's always fun to watch.
That was the funner animation to put together. I'm just coming in from the back here. Okay.
It's a computer icon.
Yeah, fun little emojis. Let's put our timer on and we'll get going. So yeah, you mentioned that you do black hole work and that you worked with the EHT collaboration. And so I'm sure if people are familiar with some of the black hole images that have been out there, for example, I think first up we've got NASA visualization that kind of shows the concept of black holes and what people might have seen. But only until about a couple years ago, really, we had never had an image of a black hole. But then we did. So can you tell us a little bit about this photo and the EHT collaboration, how we got to have a photo?
Yeah, so speaking of anniversaries, we're actually here in April 2021, just about celebrating the 2-year anniversary of this amazing image from the Event Horizon Telescope. And so what you're seeing here is the supermassive black hole that is in the center of a galaxy called M87. So we have a lot of names that are a little bit kind of blah sounding like that. All of the M catalogs are actually named after a scientist whose last name was Messier. And the king told him to go and find comets in the sky. All the astronomers were looking for comets because those were harbingers of bad things to come. Anyway, so Messier cataloged all of these amazing looking things in the sky, including this beautiful galaxy called M87. His catalog was just numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he has a lot of cool things in there, including planets and galaxies. But it turns out buried down in the very heart part of that galaxy is a supermassive black hole. It's a little bit more than 6 times 10 to the 9. So that's like 6.5 roughly billion times the mass of our sun. So a lot of mass in a really, really tiny, tiny little space. So that entire image you're seeing covers a volume that's not so different than the volume of our solar system. The outer edges of that image are sort of like the orbit of Pluto. So that's like a lot, like billions of times the mass of our sun shoved down into something that is about the same size as our solar system. So a lot of mass in a very small space. And so one question I get all the time is, well, okay, I'm looking at a supermassive black hole. How on earth could you take a picture of it? I thought the whole point was that it's black and you can't see stuff. And so all of these things are true. What you're seeing is actually the shadow or the silhouette of the black hole kind of in relief against all of the hot gas that's swirling around it. So you have to kind of like take this and twist your brain and think of it as 3-dimensional and think of all of this stuff as sort of swirling around the black hole. It does have a sense of rotation. So if everybody just geeks out with me for a second and puts up their hand and puts their fingers toward their screen, and then angles them a little, let's see, I'm angling it so it looks like what's on my screen. So up to the left and down to the right, and then twist your fingers. So you'll notice your fingers should be now pointing at you down on the part of the ring that looks brighter. So if you're doing this right, not messing it up, your thumb is sort of pointing in the direction that the black hole is spinning, and the fingers pointing towards you is actually the stuff that's coming at us. And that stuff that's moving at us looks brighter. So you're actually seeing photons and mass that's not in the black hole, it's outside the black hole in orbit. And you're seeing the stuff that's headed our direction looks a little bit brighter. And so we're seeing stuff that's right next to this thing we call the event horizon, the very closest we've ever been able to take an image of mass and photons right down at the edge of the black hole.
That is so cool. And now we also have an updated image, right, with magnetic field lines. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So how did we get to have this update, and what does this mean?
Yeah, so here you are. This is the same image now, but now superimposed, or not really superimposed, but we have like an extra dimension here where in addition to being able to see this hot gas that's swirling around, we're now actually seeing stuff being sort of like trained and pulled along the. So I likened this to a spider web, where spider webs are very, very thin, but they're very strong. And they're sort of like guiding all the material along these magnetic field lines. And it's showing you something about how the black hole pulls material and exactly. So you're doing your hand again, Tatiana. Exactly. It gives you a little bit more that sweeping sense of the material being pulled around. Those magnetic field lines get drug around by the black hole. And as they get drug around by the black hole, they drag mass and photons. And so these magnetic field lines, which are a beautiful, we call it polarization. So this is how dust and gas sort of makes these magnetic field lines visible to our observatories. This polarization image just came out 3 weeks ago. And so this is the very first time we've been able to trace out magnetic fields and gas and dust all right next to a supermassive black hole. So it's pretty badass. The Event Horizon Telescope is doing really spectacular things that we've just never been able to do before.
Absolutely true. So badass. Definitely to quote you on that one. So Yuri's Night is all about connectivity and bringing people together. Now, of course, we mentioned the EHT collaboration. This was a huge combination of people. Can you talk about that a little bit? And the EHT telescope itself?
Yeah, so the Event Horizon Telescope is actually a global telescope. Truly, it must cover the whole globe to accomplish this science. And so we have observatories that are spread across all of our Earth. And together, they work together in this kind of instrument called an interferometer. So you basically have to be able to time the arrival of photons at each one of these telescopes, kind of marked out by a white dish here, so precisely that like this wavefront arrived in, Canada or North America at this time, and in Mexico at this time, and in Chile at this time, in Hawaii at that time. And if you can time them so perfectly, you can actually use all of the telescopes together as if they are one. And then as the globe rotates, you can see different views, different parts of the globe can see the black hole. And so we basically use the entire size of the Earth to operate as our telescope. And so obviously that means you have to bring in people from everywhere in the world. The Event Horizon Telescope has has, something close to 300 members. And as I was telling Shaziana before we got together tonight, we have a new result coming out later this week, which I hope you guys will all be excited about. Keep your eyes peeled for that. But that work is actually using not just the Event Horizon Telescope, but lots of other telescopes. And we just put together a paper that has 760 authors on it, which is a bit of a wrestling match, but also pretty awesome and really, really incredibly collaborative and incredible scientists from everywhere, really literally everywhere on the globe.
Wow, that sounds like so much coordination and effort to be put in to make this happen, but so much international cooperation and collaboration, which is what space is all about. And so it's amazing that we can see this as an example for such a tremendous result, really, for our first couple black hole photos.
Yeah, and I will, just to connect to the last talk, also, let me just say that the International Space Station is also an amazing example of this kind of incredible international scientific enterprise, just exceptionally high quality science and exploration happening there.
Absolutely. And I like to use the International Space Station, just like yourself, as an example of this kind of thing where we can have everybody collaborating and work together and make amazing things. And so, yeah, I tremendously agree. But as we know, it is Black Hole Week. We're celebrating different anniversaries today, and you're doing a talk on Wednesday, right? On Twitter. Tell us about
it's
that.
It's not even a talk. Just tune in on Twitter if you want. So my Twitter handle will be in a minute. And myself and a colleague on Wednesday are going to be doing a little Twitter chat about black holes. And then there's another one, a Reddit AMA, Ask Me Anything if you want, on Friday, associated also with Black Hole Week. So it's a perfect week to be talking about space. Black holes are awesome and everywhere in the news. And there's going to be lots of fun stuff going on. So join us Wednesday. Join my colleagues Friday. Please bring your questions. Everybody loves to share all of our knowledge and all of our curiosity here. So come and join us. We'd love to have you.
Amazing. So we've reached space. I've got to say goodbye to you soon, but before I do, here is Professor Daryl Haggard's Twitter handle. You can follow Daryl here and get news updates from Twitter, and follow Daryl for their Q&A. Thank you so much for being here. That was so cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye for now.
That was great. Great. Thank you so much, Daryl Haggard, for doing that. I was mucking around with the slides there. Sorry, I may have changed some of the video format there. Hopefully that is all good.
Some order too.
Right. This is the real. This is the real show.
This is how it happens. Okay. Yeah. So what's coming up next?
Speaking of real deal, here it is. Finally, here it is. Let's see this slide. This slide is sort of bearing the lead here. We have Dr. Robert Thirsk, Canadian astronaut. He has told us we're allowed to call him Bob now, Bob Thirsk. So let's bring him onto the stream now. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome, Bob. How are you doing right now?
Doing really well. Happy Yuri's Night.
Happy Yuri's Night. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to all the Canadians who are listening in tonight.
Yes, shout out to Canadians not only in Canada and all over. For sure.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So we have this photo of you taken from a while ago. Shaziana, I think we're going to share some of these questions together. Maybe you'll do one, then I'll do one. How about you start with your first question?
So yeah, good point. So we know that you're an astronaut and you've been to space. And so for our audience, we'd like you to talk a little bit about your different space missions you've been on, from the shuttle in 1996 with NASA, and then the Soyuz in 2009 to the ISS with Roscosmos as well.
Well, I've been one of the more fortunate Canadians to have had the opportunity to fly twice into space and backed up a couple other missions as well. In 1996, I flew with 6 other people from around the world on a 17-day space shuttle flight. It was the longest shuttle flight to date at that time. And to simplistically say it, we were doing research in 2 areas, medical science and in something we call materials processing, that you can sort of think of as manufacturing alloys and ceramics and protein crystals in the weightless environment of space. It was an incredible mission. I thought it'd be the only mission that I would fly in my career. I had a lifetime of memories and had very good friends that I made from that flight. But when I got back, my boss asked if I'd like to fly again, and this time on on a long duration flight. So of course I said yes.
Yes.
And then the second flight was in 2009, a 6-month expedition aboard the International Space Station. By the way, I really liked what you and Dr. Haggard had to say about the space station. I agree 100% with you that it's it's a wonderful platform for doing research that cannot be done on Earth. But I think the best thing about the International Space Station is it's international. It has brought together these international collaborations to do something that a single country by itself couldn't do. But anyways, 6 months in space, we're doing, again, lots of research, plant biology, animal biology, human physiology, medical demonstrations, fluid physics, combustion science. It's one of our labs there. There's some plant biology from New Brunswick that I was working on there. Over 100 experiments over a 6-month period of time. But in addition to the science, there's also repair work, assembly work to do, and maintenance work as well. And just think about 6 months flying around like Superman every day. A childhood dream. Yeah.
It's definitely a childhood dream, feeling like Superman. And it's not just science and research and then some cleaning that you do. You can also have fun, right? You have meals together and do some fun, maybe silly things. I think we have a photo of.
Yeah.
So
I have questions about this next photo here. What is going on? We have this zoomed in photo right here. What's going on? What's going on here, Doug? Bob, sorry.
So, what's really, this expedition was a milestone for Canada. First time a Canadian had flown long duration, but it was also the first time that 2 Canadians had flown in space at the same time. Julie Payette came up and visited with her shuttle crew for a period of time. And then in this photo, a couple months later, in the bottom, almost the left, the bottom left, second to the right, is Guy Laliberté. And he is the founder of Cirque du Soleil. And he's a wonderful individual, very reliable, dependable guy, but he's also got a wacky sense of humor. So he wanted to lighten things up one day, and he brought up some red noses for us to all don and take a photograph. We were happy to do that.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing.
So Shatiana, just to follow up on what Trevor said a minute ago, when I review some of the videos and the photos from my past missions, and there's tens of thousands of those photos, you notice that we've all got these big goofy grins on our faces. We trained for bad days in space, but fortunately on the missions I flew on, we had very few bad days, and there's just a lot of laughing and hilarity and wonderful camaraderie.
That's amazing.
Right.
It's so awesome to hear too. Yeah, we can really see the passion and happiness that astronauts see above.
Shazia, I think you had a question about today is
That's
Yuri's
true.
night. Let's hear about maybe what it was like for Bob the first on this day 60 years ago. Maybe you could ask that question if that's okay.
Sure.
We're not. We haven't planned these questions at all in advance and have a script at all. We're not looking at a script right now at all. Okay, Shazia.
No, that's right.
We would sort of wing it sometimes in space too. But yeah, I was alive 60 years ago. But to be truthful, I do not remember Yuri Gagarin's flight. I think the first flight I remember was John Glenn's flight. That was probably 1962 or so. But by then Yuri Gagarin was already a legend. And certainly I followed his career and then the careers of the cosmonauts who followed him, such as Leonov, the first spacewalk. But Yuri was legendary. So even us elementary school children were aware of him. And it was a radio broadcast with my grade 3 class when we listened to the voice of John Glenn in orbit. That probably was the first day that I heard the word space spoken, or the first day that I heard astronaut spoken. So that set a bit in my brain that I wanted to become an astronaut.
And then I suppose, did you shape your life to become an astronaut afterwards? How did your journey kind of go for you?
The 60s and 70s were a marvelous period of time to be alive. There was just so much happening on all fronts in society, in culture, civil rights, and science and tech, and especially in space. Yuri flew in 61. And in 69, we had 2 people walking on the moon. That can't help but grab the attention of all young people. back then. So yeah, the answer is yes. Those flights made an impact on me. I wanted to become an astronaut if I would have the opportunity, and it played a role in the direction that my educational path went. And I was very, there's a lot of luck involved as well, luck to be selected as an astronaut. But there's a lot of interest in science, education, and space education back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Could I, Shatiana, I heard you talking about anniversaries. There's another anniversary today.
Yeah, do tell.
And today's the, I don't know, roughly 40th, I guess, anniversary, maybe 30th, I'm not sure, of the STS-1, the very first space shuttle mission. That's the mission of, oh, thank you, of John Young and Bob Crippen. Two astronauts I've had the pleasure of meeting, of working with. And these are people who really had the right stuff, to put your butts on a rocket that's never flown before. Those guys were really something.
And you rode on Columbia, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, right.
Speaking of the right stuff, I'm sorry, Trevor, I'm going to snag a moment here for a different kind of question. But it just reminds me of, I recently took a training course that Loretta did called Space Kind, and it's about the new right stuff. And so I wanted to hear your perspective on what the right stuff was at the time and what they were like in terms of the new right stuff, which is the emotional, psychological leadership capabilities.
Yeah, so the old right stuff, the early Mercury and, the cosmonauts of Yuri Gagarin's vintage were all male, all Caucasian, all test pilots with the Air Force or maybe with the Navy. And they did a great job because they were flying in a test flight environment. So I'm very grateful for the job that they did. Today, space flight has changed. It's more international. It's longer duration. And in particular, we really need people who have broad multidisciplinary skills. So yeah, you need to know something about science, but you need to know something about engineering, and you need to know something about medicine as well. And also the non-technical skills are what we're looking for today as well. So if you're going to do well, especially on a long duration space flight, we're looking for people who have self-care, self-management, group living, teamwork, followership, leadership, cross-cultural skills, the quintessential skills of a Canadian.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really think it's important. I encourage young people today in secondary school and post-secondary to really work on those personality traits, teamwork, and cross-cultural skills. So very, very important. Every bit as important as robotics and spacewalking and rendezvous training.
Absolutely. And I think that ties in well to our question about future, Trevor. I'm so sorry, Trevor, would you like to ask about that?
Yeah. You mentioned before sort of what, I don't know if there's a great word to use, like old space was like, but, and you talked a little bit about the 1960s and how exciting that was. To me, it feels like we're kind of entering, like, I don't know, version 2.0 of this. It's very, very exciting space time. Shazian and I, we keep on track of this stuff, of what missions are upcoming, what Canada and NASA and other partners are up to. So we could describe it, but I think it'd be great to have you explain maybe what is Canada going to be doing in the next few years. And wink, wink, Artemis is what I'm really trying to get you to answer and talk about here if you have a moment.
Yeah, so Canada is going to deep space along with about 24 other nations as well, led by NASA. And when I say deep space, I'm talking back to the moon, about perhaps an asteroid, the moons of Mars, and then a landing on Mars. So we sort of think maybe 2033, 2035, 2037 might be the time that humans will be ready to go to Mars. There's a lot of technical obstacles that prevent us from going to Mars today, but Mars is the ultimate destination. Did life ever exist there? What's the planetary history of Mars, and could Earth's planetary history follow that of Mars as well? And for me, my biased question is, could Mars serve as a second home for Earthlings as well? Of course, we want to sustain our planet and be responsible with our planet. But in a very terrible situation, could Mars be a second home for humans? So Canada is, of course, going to be part of the Lunar Gateway program, and we are going to provide, Kristen has probably talked to you already about the Canadarm3. That will be part of the Lunar Gateway mini space station. It will incorporate some new AI technologies that Canada is a world leader at. And we're also going to be participating in the second Artemis mission. The first Artemis mission will be a non-inhabited test of the new SLS mega rocket that NASA is working on right now. It'll be a trip out to the moon and back. And the second one, probably 4 people on board, and one of those people will be Canadian. We don't know which Canadian will be on board, but it will be the first time that a non-American will have an opportunity to travel to the moon, and it's really great that a Canadian will be on board that flight. Thinking about Mars, I think there's more that Canada could do. We're going to, obviously, we'll always be the world leader in terms of robotics, but other things that we can do. Can we help the international community that lands on Mars? Can we help them to grow crops to feed the astronauts? Or could we provide healthcare facilities for the astronauts who, they're going to be, up to 400 million kilometers away from Earth on the far side of the sun? Is there a way that we can give them a little bit of medical autonomy? And Canada's a world leader in terms of remote medicine. Maybe we can exploit some of that reputation and credibility that we have.
Right. Oh, Shazina is a little bit sounds a little bit off. We do have a good question for you here. You're talking a bit about Mars there right now. To go and be on Mars, you would need to be in a spacesuit. We actually have a question somebody sent to us about spacesuits, perhaps ones that you've been. Very brief question. Let's play it right now.
Hello, my name is Aiden. I'd like to know how long it takes to put on your spacesuit.
And Aiden has a brother or a sister there who's got a really cool looking spacesuit. So yeah, I've flown on 2 different space vehicles and used 2 different suits, and they both take about 45 minutes to don and also to do the checks on them as well. When you put it on, the spacesuit functions as your life support system. So it provides me with oxygen to breathe. It scrubs out carbon dioxide out of the air so that I can rebreathe the air. There's a cooling system inside there, inside the suit, to keep my temperature warm. It provides me with controls and displays that I can monitor the internal environment in my suit and follow checklists and things like that. So it's really, when you go outside of your spacecraft into the vacuum of space where there's extremes of temperature as well, your spacesuit is really a spaceship. And so it can be rather bulky. The ones that we use for walking in space, they weigh up to 100 kilograms, including the backpack, which is your life support system. So I think 45 minutes is pretty fair. We do it very carefully, and we have someone helping us don it as well. You can't do it by yourself.
Right. We do have a few photos of you in spacesuits you've been in. Here's one, the orange spacesuits with the shuttle missions. Here's another one. This is with the Soyuz missions there. We zoomed in. We used the technology to zoom in, and we looked at your mission patches there that you had there. It says Thirsk ISS. That's from 2009. We're sort of curious about the artwork there. Here, I'll put both of them up. Yeah, here's both of them right there. The first one's from your 1996 mission. Second one is from 2009. Can you tell us a little bit about the artwork and the design and maybe the artist who made these?
Well, it's part of astronaut culture, of course, to have an artist design a patch or a crest that symbolizes the mission that you're about to fly on. I'm not really an artist, so I asked a friend from British Columbia to design my 2 mission patches. The one on the left is from my first space shuttle flight, and the one on the right is from the space station expedition. The artist is Bill Helin, Helin. There you go. Bill is an artist from the Tsimshian Nation in British Columbia, which comes from the Prince Rupert area, but he currently lives in Parksville on Vancouver Island. And Bill, like me, has a love for exploration and for education. So I asked him if he would use the wonderful Pacific Northwest symbology to try to depict the space shuttle, but also explain some of the other elements of the mission as well from our first flight. The second patch is a Thunderbird. And if you look at the space station from up above, it sort of looks like to me like a bird of prey. And the solar arrays, the thermal radiators, the Russian segment of the station, the research laboratory, even the CanadArm too is represented stylistically in that second patch. Yeah, there you go. That to me, if you just you can't rotate it now, but if you rotate it right over top, another 90 degrees, to me it looks like a bird of prey.
Okay, cool.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. That really ties in quite a lot of elements into the patch and is really connecting. I want to ask you, and I know you've spoken about this a little bit before, of the overview effect experience from space. We saw a video today that was released a number of months ago, I think, where you talk about your experience and the ultimate overview effect, how that changed you. Can you tell us a little bit about this and your message for humanity?
Yeah, we spend most of our time doing research and maintenance and assembly work. But whenever we have a moment, we don't read books, we don't look at DVDs, we go to the window. It's because we like to look out at this beautiful planet down below us. The world is incredibly beautiful. And when you look down there, you quickly realize that everything below is one and everything is connected. When I say everything is one, it's not Canadians and Americans and North Koreans and Russians. We're all one humanity, and it just seems so absolutely clear when we're on orbit. We're just one people with one objective to try to further the capability of human beings in space ventures. And then the other thing too is everything is connected as well. When you look at the land, you look at the atmosphere, you look at the ocean, you look at the freshwater cycle, you look at the flora, you look at the fauna, everything interacts and is connected. So that, for example, a forest fire in Siberia, you can see the smoke plume from that forest fire rise up and go across the Pacific Ocean and impact the quality of the air that we're breathing in North America. And you'll see a small tropical depression in the South Atlantic slowly over days migrate up to the Gulf of Mexico region and become a Category 5 hurricane. Everything is one and everything is connected, and it really gives you the impression that if you can get around this notion of being siloed nations, that we can really do things as humanity, the really tough things. So what's important to me is it's overpopulation, it's poverty, it's pollution, it's environmental damage. Those are the big issues, and for us to be arguing about the smaller things, the location of national borders, it's not helpful, and it's really not leadership. We really need as many people as possible to have the opportunity to go up there, see that thin blue horizon layer of atmosphere that's keeping us alive, and then you'll really change your perspective on what the priorities in life are. So I feel very privileged to have had that view. Most astronauts have a similar point of view.
Yeah, exactly. We're all citizens of spaceship Earth, and really should all work together. What I want to know from you as our final question for the night, I think we're almost running out of time for our segment, is what are your hopes and dreams for the future of space and humanity, and what do you see coming next?
Well, being Canadian, I like to think that our country is founded on exploration. The early explorers, La Vérendrye, Simon Fraser, Sir Alexander Mackenzie, they opened up, the country to the pioneers and the settlers and the industrialists who followed us. And I hope the same thing will happen with spaceflight as well. I hope Canadians will be part of that exploration of space and open up space to the industrialists. And that's happening in low Earth orbit right now. There's a lot of businesses, telecommunications, cargo delivery, satellite navigation. Those are profitable businesses. And now we have to keep exploring, keep pushing the frontier and lowering the cost of space flights so that more and more businesses and more people can fly in space.
Right. Yeah, that's wonderful. Then everybody can get to experience this moment and feel that sense of togetherness and fragility. So thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolutely amazing time. And as you know, you're a role model to so many, including myself. So it's absolutely wonderful to have you say the things that you said tonight to us here today.
Well, Shatsiana and Trevor, I want to say thank you to you and all your colleagues who are taking the leadership role in hosting Yuri's Night Canada. That's it's really special. I was glad to participate.
Thank you
Great.
so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you. You can all get all the Thirsk you want on Twitter here at Robert Thirsk. Honestly, thank you so much. This is my heart is still beating rapidly. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Woo! All right. Cool. We did it. All right. Good.
Such
Good.
an
Good.
amazing
All right.
person. Absolutely.
Great.
So speechless.
Great. Well, Shazani, Robert or Bob, I guess we're allowed to call him Bob now. Talked a
Yeah, we're all
little
friends
bit.
now, right?
Talked a little bit about the moon and Artemis there. Here's a photo of the moon that I actually took with Layla, the telescope, and my phone that I'm yelling into right now. Can you tell us a little bit about the moon and a project that you, I, and another friend of ours have been working on? We'll be really quick about this, and
For sure.
go ahead. Yeah.
So this is kind of a little soft launch to us as well. As Trevor mentioned, there's so much happening with the moon, and just as Bob had said with Artemis, Canada is going to the moon. It's been a little over 50 years ago now since anyone had gone to the moon, any human. And it kind of seemed like it was never happening for a little while. But actually, now with Artemis, we know in a few years, 2023 or 24, I already forgot again, we'll have a Canadian go to the moon. It could be one of these 4 in front of us that are active in the agency at the moment, from Jeremy to Jenny, Joshua, or David. And I think, Trevor, you're going to tell a little bit about how they'll actually get there.
Yeah. I believe Robert was telling a little bit about SLS and NASA. So this is a new rocket that is it's still in test phase right now. We haven't launched it yet. I think they're doing a test launch uncrewed later this year, hopefully. But in 2023, these astronauts, 4 people will go up. 1 Canadian will be joining them to be in the Orion capsule. They'll go around the moon and then return to Earth. I think the mission time should be about 2 weeks or so. So that's going to be in 2023. Think how that's like 2 years from now. That is very, very close. That's going to happen. That's the first mission. The second mission is when they're going to land people on the surface. And Bob made mention of this about the homogeneity of people before. Only men have walked on the moon. But in 2024, the first woman will be walking on the surface of the moon, and 1 Canadian will be going with them. They might not be walking on the surface, but they will be involved in the mission and be around the moon for that. Again, very soon, 2024. We think this is a really special time we're living in right now, kind of like the 60s were. Very, very exciting. And so one of these 4 people will be going. And so you being you, Shaz, and another friend of ours, we wanted to sort of celebrate this moment. So can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, so thank you, yes. So we've named this project Canada Moon. We want to be able to follow this project and pair arts with space and science and give you something incredible. And we want your participation. So what this is going to be is a digital art scrapbook, which we hope to be able to print at the end as well and give this out to different organizations to help with outreach and excitement about Canada being in space and Canada going to the moon. It will be a space-time capsule to share what Canadians were thinking about when we first started going to the moon as Canada to be the second country to go to the moon, and how it's evolved over time throughout the program. It's, like I said, going to pair science and art and space and a bit of education as well to make this happen. This was actually something that I had seen as an idea as sketchbooks from a Brooklyn library doing a traveling sketchbook show, but it was during COVID, and we thought, let's make this digital and big and give Canada some excitement. I think next up is our launch date. Yes, we're going to be launching and opening up for submissions on what better day than Canada Day. So July 1st, this summer, we'll start taking in submissions for your artwork. And we want to see as creative things as possible that you can, from sculptures, photos, to drawings, even short written poems or something. We'll take those. And to get updates and follow us on all of our social media from Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Canada to Moon, to get all of our updates. And of course, we have a website, Canada Moon. And to talk about our team just a little bit, we've got the three of us working on it. We have Jay Modi, who couldn't be here with us tonight, but he's taking care of and leading the arts and media portion. Trevor, next to me here, we've got taking care of and leading the education portion, and myself, the connecting piece, as the project lead. So that's all about Canada Moon. Don't forget to follow us and find out more. So next, Trevor?
Yes, next. Great. We should take a breath. Take a big breath. Take a drink of water. Good. You've just interviewed an astronaut, so good on you. Good on you. You need a little break, I think. Okay. Good. All right. Yes, we have done 3 out of 6 guests. We got 3 more to go. Each of these just a few minutes long. So yes, our next one we have here is Natalie Willett, and she's going to talk about James Webb Space Telescope. I think she's there in the background. Let us bring her in. There she is. I'm going to head off.
Hi, how's it going?
Are you? Good. How
I'm
are you
good.
doing? Where are you
Good,
tuning in
good.
from today?
Montreal. My apartment in Montreal.
Amazing. So, of course, first up question, as you know, is would you rather be a photon or a rocket for your time?
I gotta go with the photon. The telescopes, that's what they care about. They care about photons.
So true. We can't forget about the photons. That's what you need for your images. So, yes, you work with JWST. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role.
Yeah, so I wear lots of different hats. I work at the University of Montreal at the Institute for Research on Exoplanets, where I'm the coordinator. I'm an astrophysicist researching galaxy formation and evolution. But what you really care about is I am the outreach scientist for the James Webb Space Telescope mission in Canada, working with the CSA, but also collaborating with NASA and also ESA in Europe.
Wow, that is so cool. And I just noticed your necklace. That is your necklace. So
the
cool.
mirror,
so
yeah.
Dressing up for Yuri's night, amazing. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what we're going to get with James Webb. So some of us may know that it's the successor of Hubble. Here's a picture of Hubble with the CanadArm at a capture mission. And we have the next photo, which shows us the Pillars of Creation. So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this is a breathtaking image taken in visible wavelengths, so the same kind of light that humans can see, taken of the Pillars of Creation by the Hubble Space Telescope. But James Webb will be looking at a different kind of light, an infrared light. And Hubble is able to do this a little bit. So this is also from Hubble, but in the infrared. And look at all the other new stuff suddenly you can see. So you can see loads more stars that are brighter in the infrared. You can see punch through the cosmic dust. So you're looking behind the veil, essentially. And there's tons that you can see in the infrared that you cannot see in the visible wavelength. And that's what James Webb will be doing.
Wow. So we'll get so much information, so much new information, maybe some new science and things.
Oh, definitely new science.
That sounds so exciting. So I think we've got a little animation coming up to show us what's actually going to happen. Actually, first, here's a photo of yourself with James Webb. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, this is me visiting the telescope, visiting my buddy a few years ago. So it's a project that's been in the works for a long time, and it's been in the testing phase for about 8 years or so. And one of the reasons is because unlike Hubble, which is just 450 kilometers above our heads and can be fixed and has been fixed if it goes wrong, James Webb will be 4 times farther away than the moon at 1.5 million kilometers away. So if something goes wrong, we cannot fix it. So it's been tested very thoroughly at Northrop Grumman and other NASA facilities. So this is me visiting it in California while it's being tested.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. It's so cool to see it there behind you. I guess here's the animation. Tell us a little bit about what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a massive telescope, about 3 times wider than Hubble, 6.5 meters wide. The mirror coated in gold because that is what reflects infrared light the best. And the mirror is actually not one single piece. It's 18 segments, each about the height of a human adult. And so it's so big, in fact, that we are going to need to fold it up on itself like a piece of origami in order to stuff it into one of the largest rockets that we have, the Ariane 5, which is a European rocket. We're going to launch it from South America, Kourou in French Guiana. And when it launches into space, it's going to peel off the layers of the rocket and it needs to unfold. It can't just stay a piece of origami. So this is going to happen over the course of 14 days, and it won't be sitting still while it's unfolding. It's actually going to be barreling towards its final destination, 1.5 million kilometers away from us. So this is what you can see in the animation here. You have a little timer with the elapsed time. You can actually track where the telescope is in its trajectory. So here it's already past the moon, and it needs to unfold about 200 different components. So lots of room for things to go wrong, but lots of redundancies, and this is why we do the testing. So right now what you are seeing is the sun shield that's being deployed. The sun shield is the size of a tennis court, absolutely humongous. Try to imagine that in your head. This is what we stuffed in the rocket. It's really, really huge. And this is what's going to protect it from the sun. So I actually have a little model here as well. So if the sun is here, the telescope will always be oriented such that the sun shield will be between the mirror and the instruments here and the sun here. So this, my fist is the sun, like this. So this side is going to be about 85 degrees Celsius. This side here, all the good stuff going on here, it's going to be about minus 230 degrees Celsius. And we want to keep it cool because if the instruments in the mirror heat up, they start radiating in the infrared as well and cause their own light pollution. So a very, very complex mission, arguably the most complex machine humans have ever built. And it's launching at the end of this year in fall 2021. So we are so excited. It's still on schedule. So yeah, super excited.
Fingers crossed. Looking forward to this launch finally happening.
Yes,
so
finally.
I actually forgot what my next question was going to be.
So exciting.
I just got too excited. There's so much happening. Actually, I was wondering if you'd be able to speak about the shape of the mirror a little bit. Some might notice it's like a beehive or a honeycomb.
Yeah, definitely. So everyone notices this, and this is like a great litmus test. If I meet an astronomy nerd, they'll know it's James Webb. Otherwise, people think I'm really into bees, essentially. So yeah, it's a honeycomb shape because each of the different 18 segments can be moved independently, and so it can be focused that way. And so the hexagon is just a very popular shape because it allows for a lot of flexibility in terms of changing the shape of the mirror without having gaps in between the separate mirror segments. Because if you have gaps, then you lose those photons. The photons just pass on through, and you want to have as many photons as you can to look at the really, really distant, faraway objects. And we're going to be looking at some of the very first galaxies that were ever created right after the Big Bang with this telescope.
Wow, that is so cool. So we'll get to learn a bit about the Big Bang and like a bit maybe of what was existing back then. Is that so?
Yeah, exactly. So there are a few different scientific missions that are really the focus of James Webb, seeing the very first galaxies assembled right after the Big Bang. It's like 200 million years after the Big Bang, but the universe is 14 billion years old. That's actually like pretty soon after the Big Bang. Also, exoplanets, a really, really huge, important contribution. And in the back of James Webb, you have 4 scientific instruments, one of which is the Canadian contribution. So we have a Canadian instrument on here that is tailor-made for lots of different things, but specifically what's interesting to us where I work is it's going to study the atmospheres of exoplanets, potentially see if they could be habitable, if they have oxygen, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and maybe even biosignatures would be signs of alien life. So we'll have to see.
That is so cool. And with the Canadian instruments,
Yes.
That's absolutely amazing.
Definitely,
Canada has a big role in this.
Yeah, and not only does it have a Canadian instrument, but the guiding camera, which is mission critical and allows all of the images that Webb takes to be crisp and clear and high resolution. That is also a Canadian component. So Canada, very, very important in this mission.
Very important. That's going to have to last for a long time. So Canada's instrument is going to have to be incredible.
The whole mission, yeah.
So I want last question for you is, or did we have a question from the chat, Trevor?
We do have a question from the chat. The question is from Space Rants. How does an infrared mirror differ from an optical mirror?
So the main thing with the mirror is that optical mirrors are typically coated in aluminum. Hubble has an aluminum coated mirror. There's also a sheet of glass on top to protect it, but that's what reflects the highest percentage of visible light. Gold actually reflects more effectively in the infrared light. So it allows for almost no photons to be lost inside the optical system. But what's really going to be key also for infrared is also the detectors in the instruments in the back that are catered to really detecting infrared light. But the fact that the mirror is gold, that caters it towards infrared light.
Wow, that is so cool. And I know we reached the end of our time. It looks like we've started over, but we haven't. So if people want to follow Natalie before we leave off, this is her Twitter handle here. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Oh, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. Also, where I work, exoplanets.ca, and we talk a lot about exoplanets and Webb, and we do lots and lots of outreach and education stuff as well, so find me there.
Yes, find Natalie doing education and outreach, bridging the gap between science and outreach. And next up, we're going to have to say goodbye. I've taken a little more time. Thank you so much for being here and telling us all about
Happy Yuri's Night.
Happy Yuri's Night.
There it is. There it is. Thank you so much, Shazana, for doing that. I am looking backstage. I'm hoping that my guest, hope their video will come on in a second here. We will find out. This is half the show. This is half the show right here. Let's show some slides right here. The next guest should be Diana Phillips. There she is. Oh my gosh, goodness. Her video came on. I can see her laughing and smiling behind the stage. Let's bring Diana Phillips on. There she is. Shaziana, I'm going to put you backstage, but you guys can do a little wave there first. There we go. Diana, how are you?
I'm doing great, Trevor. How are you guys doing?
Good. You nearly gave me a heart attack when I didn't see your video. That's good.
I'm here. No worries. Watching everything. Good. Super night. Fantastic.
Great. Biggest, most important question of the night. We've asked it to everybody now. What do you want to be? A photon? How do you want to be timed? A photon from the sun reaching Earth?
It's definitely a rocket.
That's what I assumed. So I'm going to put that there right now. There we go. All right, here we go. Thank you again so much for doing this. I guess first off, where are you located and what is it you do?
I'm located in Montreal, Quebec on the West Island in Kirkland. And what do? I'm retired, but I put new tires on in retirement and I'm rolling back out and I've been working my own programs. So I do a program called Science Yourself, no G's about it, named after, obviously, the Zero G Corporation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of zero G, you have experienced zero G. You have experienced weightlessness before. What is the name of the vehicle that you use to experience weightlessness?
Okay, so unlike the astronauts, we actually train in a Boeing 727. And okay. It is an amazing ride. So it's a plane, it's an airplane, it's a Boeing 727 that's been shelled out, has seats in the back, and then the rest of the cabin is hollow so that we can do the work we need to do.
Okay. When did you do this? First of all, let's show some photos of you. I think the audience needs proof that you've done this here. There's you doing that there. There's another photo of you doing that there, doing that. When did you do this?
So this was in 2006. I had the opportunity. I was selected by Lester B. Pearson School Board and the Cosmodome to represent Canada. And I was sent to Space Camp, Alabama. And it was the one and only year that they offered a free flight with the Discovery, weightless Discovery flights with zero G. This was an incredible, incredible opportunity. I almost said no to that, by the way. I was a bit of a chicken, but I'm really glad that I did not.
Okay. So how does this work? Like I'm seeing photos. I'll bring it up again here too. Looks like you're experiencing weightlessness. You're sort of flying through it. How does the plane do this? How do you experience weightlessness with that?
Okay, so I'm going to take my shuttle over here, and let's pretend that that's our Boeing right now. Let me get in that camera there. Here we go. And I want you to just imagine that we are moving up into the sky, and we are approaching 45,000 feet. So we're doing a very sharp 50-degree angle at a maximum thrust and ascend to reach altitude. Then we do a free fall. So I think you have a picture of the chart there, and we're literally a roller coaster in the sky. And what we're doing is we're achieving levels of gravity and microgravity. So we start off with this whole idea of reaching the Martian gravity, then we go into a third of our weight, and then to the lunar gravity. And then from there, we are then reaching the 0G. So when the plane arcs up, this is our moment when we are actually beautiful, when we're actually weightless, and we are flipping, flopping, turning, working. I had 5 experiments to complete, though. There were classroom experiments during that time, and we were fortunate enough to be trained by the 0G company, as well as the Toys in Space NASA program. So we had toys that the astronauts had used, and we were playing with those while we were up there and checking out the effects of microgravity.
Right. The images I see of you doing this, and we showed some photos of Bob Thirsk, him doing sort of Superman pose, and it looks really fun when you're flying through space like that. When I learned that, like, really it's that the plane going down like that. I mean, I've been in airplanes before, and as soon as there's like a little bit of turbulence or that sudden dip like that, I sort of freak out. Is that what it feels like, where that sudden dip like that? But
yeah, so you've got the dip going on, but we are medicated before we get on, top secret. And it actually helps to settle our stomachs so that we do not feel sick in space. Unfortunately, that didn't work for one of my colleagues. She was sick moments before she got on. And so we say vomit comet. There's a reason for that. And that is that was pretty apparent when we were on flight, because our very first parabola, there's 15 of them to do. She vomited, and I now know physics works really, really well up there. And it was completely suspended. So unfortunately, leaving the airplane, didn't realize it, but my entire leg of this suit was covered in her gift. So all that to say, it is a bit like that feeling, but you don't feel it so much in your stomach because you're, it's a gravel-like substance. And we get the opportunities to flip, flop, turn, roll. That scene that you just showed a minute ago, that image where we're wearing our hats, okay? We were actually put against a wall. We are upside down here, and we're in the middle of a rotation where we are flipping over ourselves. And at the same time, we are spinning a toy in space. Below us, the girl that is down there is actually getting ready to take the bag, blow it up, and then try to put some Smarties inside. A little complicated to do in microgravity.
Yeah. How long does this you said you do a few parabolas, so going up and down like that.
We've got 15 parabolas.
How long does each going up and then down, how long does that last?
We've got 12 seconds, and the 12 seconds at first goes really, really quickly. Then after that, every other 12 seconds seems like it's going to last forever, because you're getting more and more braver. And, a woman can't ask for anything better than to be weightless. Let me tell you, it was an amazing, amazing experience.
Okay. So the first one was a bit of hesitancy, maybe the second or third one too. But by the 10th or 12th one, you're like, I could do this all day, probably. Yeah,
so the first one you see, I'm hanging on to the guy wire, and that's because we're really feeling like guppies or something. We feel like fish, and our legs are wobbling around, and all you can do is scream and say, this is amazing. This is amazing, because it is so exciting. So when we're dropping down like that, and that parabola is making us go, whew, feel like we're light, then we are in an amazing state.
Right.
And it is not something you can experience on Earth a little bit, right? If you're in a pool, right, you can experience that, take away the water and suspend yourself somehow.
Right. There's a great question from John here. So we were talking about zero G, okay, zero gravity, but he mentions here, how was the bottom of the parabola when you pull out of the dive? High G's, we have zero G's. How about going up out of that parabola? What's that experience like? Are you just holding on and you're going up like that? I'm curious about that part too.
So it's a very unique experience. I'll tell you why, because you're so busy getting ready to do your experiment. You're not even paying attention to what's going on. But we are slammed on the ground. There's something called coming down, coming out. You have to get down fast because it's like somebody's taking a giant piece of furniture, slamming it on your chest, and you are like pinned to the ground. In the meantime, now our hands are moving in and out of these bags because we've got 5 experiments to do. So it feels like there's a lot of pressure on you, but the minute you're back in the parabola again and you're floating, you don't remember that part. You really don't.
Yeah. Right. Well, your rocket reached orbit there. I want to finish with one last question. You said you were a teacher, aerospace educator, and you teach young kids. What are they excited about? Okay, we think we're entering the sort of interesting phase where Canada it's going to be joining NASA to go around the moon. What are they going to be excited about over the next decade?
They are excited about everything. First of all, what I've learned this year, being involved in space activities and crew with Seek, it is an amazing year for them because they have more time to focus on these things. And also I'm involved in Magnitude Point.io. We are ExoLab 8. We have plants in space right now circling above our head as we speak. So this whole space thing, everything about it is giving kids hope. It's giving them the wonder again, and it's giving them the zeal and the zest to explore. So when Bob Thirsk says being like explorers, this is where the kids are at. They want to know more. They're hungry for space. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Diana. I know you do. I know you have. We're going to close this up. I know you have an Instagram account. You haven't posted anything yet, but I think you lead such an interesting, fun life, and I see the stuff you do. I'm going to encourage people to follow here. Maybe just try to encourage you to start posting Instagram because I'd love to see more images of the things that you do. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you soon. Woo. All right. There we go.
That was
5 out of 6.
Cool.
We've done it.
Almost
We've done it. Have you wait? Hey, I've done skydiving before. It sounds like you're in a vacuum when you're falling down. Have you done skydiving or anything like that before?
I've never been skydiving. I'd love to. Never been into zero-G flight. Also would love to. But I've been bungee jumping, actually. It's quite a bit different, but it was so much fun. Experience, thrill of the ride. But...
Right. We have our one and final and last guest today. Can you tell us a little bit? I'll just say the words on screen.
There you go.
Making music from space data. We were practicing before the stream a few hours ago. I'm super excited about this one. Let's get him onto the stream right here. I'm going to go backstage. Shaziana, Matt, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah. So Matt, like I said before, so excited to have you. It's so cool that you get to pair science data and make music out of it. But first, I got to ask you the most important question of the night. Would you rather have a photon or a rocket as your timer?
I want to be a photon.
Photon it is. Here we go. Okay, so tell us first where you're tuning in from, where we're interviewing you from, and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I'm in Toronto. It's where I was born and raised. And I've been at U of T, University of Toronto, for a very, very long time. I did all my undergrads there, 2 undergrads there, my master's and PhD. And so now I teach at the University of Toronto. I teach physics. And what I love to do is called sonification, which means converting data into sound. And so I do that with my outreach project called System Sounds. And we have some fun projects for NASA and planetarium shows and fun stuff like that.
That is so cool. And I can't wait for you to tell us a little bit more about sonification. I think we have the Chandra Deep Field video coming up as an example of your work. So maybe we'll show that video first and have you talk a little bit about it.
Sure.
Wow, that sounded so pretty and unreal. So tell us a little about what's happening there and what the sonification is.
Sure, that was a really fun one. It's probably my favorite one yet. So this is called the Chandra Deep Field. So you may have heard of the Hubble Deep Field, which is like the deepest image ever taken into the darkest pits of space. This is the same thing, but in X-rays. So every dot you're seeing on the screen are a source of X-rays in the early universe. So these are basically supermassive black holes shortly after the Big Bang, emitting jets of X-rays partially towards Earth. And so I wanted to find a way to experience this through music and sound. And so this is detecting different types of energy of X-rays, and that's indicated by the color here. So the reddish ones are the lower energy X-rays, and the bluish and then purplish ones are the highest energy X-rays. And there's a huge range of X-rays. The range in energy and frequency of X-rays is much, much bigger than the range of visible light that we can see. So that data has to actually be compressed to see it as colors in this image. But when we can listen to those X-rays through sound, we can use that full range again. We can experience that full range through music. So what you were hearing was the colors, which is indicating the energy of the X-rays, converted to musical pitches. So the lowest energy X-rays were the lowest notes. They look red on the screen. And then way, way up, the highest notes are the bluish and maybe violet in the image, which is the highest energy X-rays. And then all the spots that look white, well, that's just because there's X-rays of all colors coming at you there, all X-ray colors. And so there's a bit of white noise in there to experience that.
Wow, that is so cool. Being able to see the pairings of different kinds of frequencies from color to sound and whatever else you can make of it. This is so cool, and it was like almost a dream of mine in high school to see something like this when I tried to look into this kind of research myself, and it's amazing to see it here. What I do want to hear from you as well is, what was your inspiration on getting into sonification, and how can someone else do it?
Yeah, so I was actually really conflicted for a long time. I had these two passions of music and astronomy, and I struggled for like 10 or 15 years to try to find a balance or something, and nothing was really working out. And in 2017, they discovered a very musical solar system called TRAPPIST-1, and that's what inspired me to find a way to hear the musicality in this solar system. And since then, it just kind of opened my eyes and my ears, I guess, to all the other types of rhythms and harmonies in the cosmos, and even just different ways of experiencing data and imagery. And so it's been this incredibly rewarding thing where I get to combine all my passions and do everything I love all at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And it's kind of cool that you get to pair different senses together, from visual to sound, and maybe with 3D printing, we can do feeling as well. I know that's coming up in too. But this kind of has a theme with accessibility. Could you speak about that portion a little bit as well?
That's right. That's been the most rewarding part by far, is doing planetarium shows and sharing my sonifications with people who are blind or visually impaired. You know, they really appreciate it, and I really appreciate getting to know them and getting to know how they experience the world. And there's just something about experiencing a solar system in a dark room with a bunch of people, and to feel everyone reacting at the same time and kind of feeling the same things. Just like a magical experience. So that's been the best part.
There's actually so many really good questions in the chat, so I'm going to let them take over a little bit before we get to our fun, cool, special surprise at the end. Has listening to an image ever led to a discovery? This is from Space Rants.
I'm not sure about listening to images. The goal with listening to images is to just find a new way to experience the data. Sonification itself in other forms has been used to make discoveries. So there's a claim that people were able to hear certain oscillations in the sun's solar wind through sonification, because your ears are more sensitive to certain things, like changes in frequency and timing. And so with images, yeah, I haven't heard of anything yet, but maybe it'll come along.
And Spiral Ganglion says, it sounds like the rhythm in black hole sonification was quantized to a grid. How did you decide on that rather than playing a sound at the exact moment the line intersected a black hole? You might have said that already. But.
No, it's good ear. So yeah, we did quantize that. So we basically downsampled the image by a factor of 4. It made it much more pleasing to listen to, right? Because otherwise the colors are changing so fast, you can't really process what's happening. So by downsampling it like that and quantizing it, you were able to actually hear when there's a blob that looks red, you can hear it as a low note instead of a bunch of changing notes. So that was more to help communicate the visual information as clear tones.
That's so cool. So a little clarification on communication of getting the senses together. And the last question I'm going to say is, are schools involved in sonifications? This is from Diana Phillips, who we just had.
Well, I've done some school talk. Actually, that's where I first started. My first sonification was made to help communicate the TRAPPIST-1 solar system to grade school classes. And I know it's happening definitely in schools that serve people who are blind or visually impaired. There's all kinds of software for that now. Even popular graphing tools like Desmos have a sonification feature. So you can just turn it on and hear the graphs you're playing. So there's definitely a lot of room for development there.
Wow. So is there some way that schools can get involved?
Well, they can contact me. I can put them in touch with the right people, but otherwise, like a lot of schools are already using Desmos, which is the brilliant thing. It's just a new setting you turn on, and then it becomes accessible.
Wow, that's so cool to be able to get different people involved. And yes, we're going to do our TRAPPIST-1 surprise now that we've been talking a little bit about. As you mentioned, this is a little bit different. It's about rhythms of orbits and everything. So let's hear what we're going to hear for this science.
Sure.
Wow, that was mesmerizing, and I got chills. I hope others did too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think that is the end of this segment for now. So I'll put up these Twitter handles and social media handles. Like you said, people can follow you. Would you like to say a little bit more here?
Oh yeah, so all my stuff is at System Sounds, so system-sounds.com. That's kind of the hub for everything I do. There's all kinds of videos and apps there, so check that out. And thanks so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to be able to get you tonight. You can't have a Yuri's Night without music and the live performance. So thank you for this, and happy Yuri's Night to you.
Happy Yuri's Night to you.
Thanks. What do we got
Cool.
next, Trevor? That's all of our show. What are we doing?
That's 6 for 6. Oh my gosh, we did it. We're at the 94-minute mark, so we're at the point. We're a little bit over. We're sorry, but we're trying to be true
Only
to
4
form.
minutes.
Only
so
4
bad.
minutes. Not bad. Not bad. That is the end of our guests. So we're going to wrap up here. Just a little bit of a reminder. Yes, Shazia and I, we've been working on a project called Canada Moon. And so we're going to have a little bit more info as time goes on, but we do have some social media handles you can look at here. We think it's a really fascinating time of Canada going to the moon, and we want you to sort of be a part of this. So if you go and follow there, that'd be great. And be a great teaching thing, and to get art involved there. And go to CanadaMoon.com. And so we're starting the whole sort of the precursor to soft launch right now, but in July 1st, that's when we're going to start the full campaign. If you follow that, it'll be good. Shaziana, we have a quick few thanks to do. Take it away.
So many. We have so many thank yous to give out to who have helped us with this and brought us to this point. So first, I need to thank Dr. Robert Thirsk, who we had on here. He's been an inspiration and an influence, especially for myself. It was the one who told me to go to ISU, and I made it and I did it. And he's been a role model for me, of course. Same with Chris Hadfield, an absolute role model as well, who right away, as soon as we asked him, almost gave us this video message and apologized that he couldn't be here with us because he would have liked to. So thank you, Chris, and your team. Thank you as well to Loretta Whitesides, who is the creator of this celebration and was the one to give us the idea to do this and support us. So thank you to her and the dream team and the core team of Yuri's Night. Thank you as well to Liam Kennedy from ISS Above for the ISS footage of the Canadarm that we had in the beginning, and I think you'll see again at the end. Thank you so much. Thank you as well to all. Oh, yes.
Yeah, thank you to Anthony Hansen. I had to put some music together for those intro and the outro you're going to see in a second. I DM'd him on Twitter, hey, can I use your music? He didn't reply. I used the music anyways. I put it into the StreamYard, and then he messaged later saying, yeah, it's fine. Thank you for letting us use your great music. There's his Bandcamp. Really great ambient music. So you're into spacey sounds. Anthony Hansen's music. Really great.
So the music we had at the beginning and possibly at the end was his. Thanks to him. Thank you to all of our guests who are here with us tonight. Kristen, Daryl, Natalie, Diana, and Matt for being so excited to be here and passionate about your field and helping us in the last minute things to get things sorted. Thank you so much. Thank you to the audience, yourselves. Thank you for being here, and especially to those who were here that I only met Saturday backstage. I can't believe you made it, so thank you. Thank you as well. Next to our supporters. So that's everybody who's been around us, our networks, our friends, our families, all the people we talk about space to for forever, because you know it's never going to end. And thank you as well, Trevor. I have to say thank you so much for taking this challenge on with me and bringing it together from a seedling of an idea to the thing that it's become tonight. So thank you.
And thank you to you. I'm usually a solo guy who works alone on these streams and stuff like that. It's been great doing this, and you got we all got great guests. You got some real kick-ass guests. We wouldn't probably have an astronaut without you. So multiple astronauts, plural. My gosh, thank you so much, Shaziana. Yeah. Great job.
And to end off the night, you can't leave Yuri's Night without feeling like you're in a party mood. So gotta raise some lights. It is a Monday. It's a little late, but give yourself a celebration, and happy Yuri's Night to everybody.
And you can get all the Shaziana Cadarelli you want from here on Instagram and Twitter. And here's my Plateau Astro stuff here if you want to follow there. Thank you all so much. And we'll end with some more from the big man himself, Yuri Gagarin. Take it away, Shaziana.
The words he had said, this is how we want to leave you, remembering what Yuri is all about, this is what he said. Circling the Earth in my orbital spaceship, I marveled at the beauty of our planet. People of the world, let us safeguard and enhance this beauty, not destroy it. You can tell it's a little late. It's late here. I'm getting tired. My bad. But thank you so much, everybody who is here and supporting us. And yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. See you soon, Shaz.
Happy Yuri's Night.
Happy Yuri's Night.